Hello, it's Evelyn Hudson. I am HCTC Libraries Reference Librarian. If you've attended the first three or even one of the first three sessions, you might know a little bit about who I am. Basically, I provide instruction around research for the libraries. I'm also available in the library when we're physically open to help find physical books, to help with in-house research, and I also work the circulation desk and answer reference questions. Generally, we're just here to help any capacity. So today we're going to focus on citing sources. So this is going to be kind of a broad overview, and basically what I hope you take away from this is not that you can memorize every particular of citing sources, but that you can find resources to help you as you cite sources, both in the classes you're in currently and in the future as you go into perhaps more advanced courses or you go into maybe a research career. I hope that you'll be able to take these resources that I show you with you along the way. So we are just going to dive right in. I'm going to switch over to my presentation. All right. So you might experience or have some experience with MLA or APA primarily. MLA stands for Modern Language Association, and APA stands for the American Psychological Association. MLA is primarily used to cite sources in the humanities, so you might use it in an Appalachian Studies class, you might use it in a history class, and APA is used for more social sciences, health sciences. So if you go into the nursing field or if you go into a health field, or even psychology, sociology, you're going to be using APA more and more as you get further in both your program and if you go into research in your career. So basically what these are, an MLA, APA, citations, these are methods of organizing research. So there is an element to MLA and APA that revolves around not just creating this list at the end of your research paper of citations, but of also organizing the research itself within the body of the paper. So you can get pretty deep into formatting and styling these papers. They are kind of different, kind of the same. There's some key differences, and it really helps to know where you can go to find answers to your questions anytime they pop up, because it could be something as small as punctuation, and usually it is something seemingly small as punctuation, either in a citation itself or in the body of the paper. So my favorite resource, aside from the official physical books, which are those handbooks that you'll see, MLA, they're currently in an 8th edition. APA, I believe, is on the 7th edition. We do keep those both in-house at the library. Currently, with the physical libraries being closed and everything being online, you can still find really great citation resources at Purdue OWL. You can Google that. They have both an MLA formatting and style guide and an APA formatting and style guide. And they offer a good deal of guidance on that website as to particulars. Specifically, if you need to cite a video, if you need to cite a database article, if you need to cite a podcast. I mean, it gets really deep into that and shows you how to do that. So that's been the most helpful. I used it in my own grad career very, very often within my grad career. It's really helped me along the way. You can also submit a one-on-one small group instruction if you're working in groups. That would be with me or with our Director of Library Services, Kathy Branson. Currently, with everything being in our format, we're still offering that, but you would either work with us through email if that's your preference, over the phone if that's your preference, or we can do something like a Microsoft Teams conference, some kind of video chat, whatever is most comfortable for you. Maybe we could even reach out through Facebook Video Messenger if that's the best way to reach you. We'll work with you on reaching out. But definitely, if you need assistance with citations, do not hesitate to ask us. We will do everything we can to help you. Microsoft Word, which is available for free for all HCT students. I don't know if you know this. You have the 365, which is that online Microsoft Office suite. But then you can also download the 2016 version of the Office suite to your computer if you have a computer at home. You would just go in through your SharePoint, and there's an option to do that. If you reach out to IT, they can give you more guidance on how to download that official suite. But you can find templates for MLA papers, and this is going to guide you through the actual body of the research paper. Now, keep in mind, some instructors will assign you a paper. Maybe their preference is that you cite an MLA, but they're not going to be as rigid on the paper formatting itself. For instance, in APA, in the most rigid circumstances, you would have an abstract or a title page on that. Your instructor might not require that, even though they want you to do an APA format loosely, and they will give you guidance on that as well in terms of how far they want you to go with that. And you can always ask, questions like, do you want me to include this because it says this in the APA manual? And they're going to be more than willing to help you with that and work you through that. In those templates, when you open up Microsoft Word, it gives you that, new document. There is a little search bar there, and all you would need to do is search MLA paper, and it's just going to pop right up, or APA paper. They both are available in Microsoft Word. So basics of citing or formatting the MLA paper. So with MLA, it's fairly simple. You're just going to have a header, which is that top part of the document. You have to double click into it, and it's going to open up the header and the footer, and you would type your last name and the page number in the top right hand corner of each page. Formatting for both MLA and APA, very similar in terms of size and font that they would prefer. This has to do with ease of reading, and that should be 12-point Times New Roman. That's pretty standard. Most Microsoft Word software will default to Calibri now. I don't know how I say it, Calibri, I think. But you just go in and you can change that to Times New Roman. Make sure it's double spaced. Again, that's fairly standard. If you're not comfortable with that or you don't know how to do it, you need to learn. You can come into the library. We can help you with that. You can do whatever tutoring services might be offered to you, your instructor might offer to help you walk you through that. Just reach out and we will definitely get you some help with that. Microsoft Office can be really complicated, especially when you get into formatting, like things with headers and footers. It's really easy to mess that up, but we'll definitely do our best. Let me click into my slideshow there. That might help so you can see a little closer. Okay, and then at the top of the first page, not in the header, this is just going to be on the left-hand side, basically like where you write your address on a business letter. This is where you would write this information, and that is your name, your instructor's name, your course number, and the date. Going further down that research paper, underneath that information about you, your name, your instructor's name, you will center this new text, and that's going to be where you put your paper title. This is in title case, so you only capitalize proper nouns, of course. Don't capitalize words like "and" or "from," things like that. Just the most important words within the research paper. And if you go in Microsoft Word, there is an automated way to do that. You could highlight the text, and it's up there the size of the font and stuff, and it's going to give you the option. It would either put it all in caps, which is all capital letters, put it all in sentence case, which is only that first letter capitalized. So that's a pretty cool feature if you need to change something that's all in uppercase and you just want to make it something sentence case or title case, etc. That's a useful feature. You indent using the tab key. Do not click space 5 times. This messes up with the formatting. It could potentially change the way that your document prints if you open it on a separate computer that maybe is running a different version of Word. It doesn't have Word. It's best to use that tab key on your keyboard. And then for your works cited page, this is where you're going to list all of the citations that you reference within your research paper. You want to start that on a new page, and again, do not click enter until you reach a new page. Instead, go to insert pages, page break, and that is going to apply a formatting element that will skip to the end of that page and start a new page without having all of those spaced formatting elements in there. You can't see it, but they're there, and they could potentially mess up the way your paper looks on different computers. It's all in the coding, all in the technology aspect of it. Again, this can be complicated. Word is not super easy to use or to learn, but you can come to the library or you can reach out to us online, and we will definitely be more than happy to demonstrate that for you. You want to center your works cited at the top of the page, just like you did your research title. And then your citation list should be listed alphabetically by the author's last name. And if there's no author, you would use the title of the article. And then you'll use the hanging indent to format your citations. This is an option within your paragraph spacing. It's basically under home, paragraph spacing, where you go to double space your paper. And then it's going to be this line spacing options. And then there's a little special drop down box, and it'll say hanging indent. And that's how you get it to have that top line all the way to the left, and then every line under that kind of indented without having to click indent. So again, it goes back to that formatting, because if you open it in a different computer, it's going to look wonky. It's just going to have those spaces in it, but it's not going to know that that is a hanging indent unless you actually tell it to insert a hanging indent. Again, reach out to us, reach out to IT, reach out to your instructor. They're all going to be more than happy to help you, to show you how to do this, because it's not super easy to find or to learn how to do. So this is what your MLA paper is going to look like. Generally, again, your instructors might give you some flexibility in how these look. They might prefer a slightly different element in some of them, specifically with APA. MLA is usually pretty consistent that this is what it's going to look like. But you'll see you have that last name page number up in the upper right corner. You have your name and your instructor's name, your course name, and your date. The title is in title case. You see that of is not capitalized, it's lowercase. And then your paper, you've got, indents for new paragraphs. So that is generally what that is going to look like. And then your works cited page, it's still, within part of the paper. So even though earlier you did a page break, you started your works cited on a new page, it's still going to carry over and what page number that is on. So you'll see here, it's the author's name, page 8. So that you still want that to continue in that pagination. So works cited is centered, and then below that you start your list of citations. So these are all formatted with that hanging indent you can see I was talking about. So as you get to each different citation, you've got the beginning of it is further over on the left side, and then the lines that are beneath it that are associated with that citation, that publication information, origination, the URL, they're indented slightly over to the right. And that's what that spacing format allows that to do. So then it's going to look really neat, and it's going to carry that formatting over regardless of any older editions or even newer editions of Microsoft Word. If you're opening it maybe in a processing software that's not Word, it's still going to carry over that formatting for the most part, so it's going to stay neat and understandable. So that is what your works cited will look like. Again, it's alphabetized, so here you've got the author's name. Here it looks like a handle that Dr. Arturo Guloff, they've referenced his Instagram account. That's his Instagram handle. But, alphabetized still all the way down. So APA, again, the resources look very similar. They have a formatting and style guide on Purdue OWL. You can Google that. Just remember Purdue, P-U-R-D-U-E-O-W-L, Purdue OWL. That's a really, really fantastic citation resource, not just for citing resources themselves, but for the actual formatting of the paper. Very handy. This does say APA Handbook 6th edition. The 7th edition has been released, I do believe. We do have copies of it physically in-house. We are still all learning the 7th edition because it literally just came out last year. So keep that in mind. Make sure when you're getting your syllabi from your instructors that you're checking that they are requiring the 6th or the 7th edition, because some instructors might still be using that 6th edition until the 7th has been out a little bit longer, just to give us all time to learn it and to catch up. So just make sure you double check that. Again, reach out to us. We can help you at the library. We can do online outreach. Whatever is most comfortable for you. And then once we are back in the library physically, you can come in, and we're more than happy to help you there as well. And even when we're open physically at the library, you can still reach out through these online resources, and we can help you that way too, because even with the college open, we know transportation can be an issue for a lot of people. Again, Microsoft Word, you just search for APA paper in the search all templates. When you first open up Word, instead of clicking new document, you'll just search for the templates. The formatting, very, very similar in terms of how it should look. So that is 12-point Times New Roman, double spaced. Pretty much high schools, colleges, they're going to tell you to format them this way down the line. So just get used to that. And again, if you need help learning how to do that with Microsoft Word specifically, then reach out to us, reach out to IT, your instructor. We'll try to help you learn how to do that. So APA differs from MLA in terms of the paper and how it looks, in that typically a really rigid APA paper is going to have a title page. So that's why you'll see these directions to create a different first page. This allows you to essentially have a different header on that first page. It's going to allow you to hide the page numbers on the first page, and then they'll run consecutively after that. So again, you're not going to probably be able to memorize it based off of my PowerPoint slides. Access that Purdue OWL site. It's going to show you, walk you through those steps again. Come in and we can help you with the formatting issues in Word. It's better to use these complicated formatting issues than to just like space everything out, because again, if you're opening it on different computers, if your professor's opening it on a different computer, on a different software, you want it to still be correct the way that you submitted it. And if you use that space key instead of something like tab, or instead of inserting a hanging indent, it's going to be totally wonky on their end and incorrect, and you might get docked for it, just because it looks weird, and there might be some issues with that. So so for that, creating a different first page, you will double click that header section. Again, that's the top part of the document, where you just double click into it. Header and footer, and then you will mark the box at the top on the ribbon, is what it's called, with all those options for formatting. Mark the box for different first page. And then still in that header at the top left, you want to type the following: running head, colon, and then you'll enter a shortened title of your paper, only up to 50 characters. Characters are letters, including spaces. And then you will insert page numbers in the top right corner of your page. And what I recommend you do actually is insert the page number first, then do the running head and the shortened title of your paper, and then you can hit tab to separate those out from the left to the right. So again, if you need assistance with that, reach out. We will help you to walk you through formatting in Word. I'm more than happy to do that. Then on page 2, in that header section, because you clicked different first page, you will have a empty header on this second page. You're going to type the shortened title of your paper up to 50 characters, but you won't type that running head again. And then you want to make sure that when you insert the page number again, you're continuing that from the first page. So to do that, you go back to your header and footer, that page number, format page number, page numbering, and continue from previous section. This will ensure continuity from page 1 to page 2, so that you're not starting page 1, then page 2 on the third page. So that, again, I mentioned the first page in APA is usually referred to as the title page. So this is going to be the title of your research paper. In that title case, your name, your first name, middle initial, last name, and the institutional affiliation where you've conducted research. So if it's at Hazard, you would write out Hazard Technical and Community College. You want that to be centered on the title page, not just centered in the middle of the page, but also vertically in the center of the page. So it's going to be dead center, down the page and in the page. And to do that, you want to go to Home, Center Text, then you'll go to Format, Document, Layout, Page, Vertical Alignment, and Center. And make sure you've highlighted the text that you want to control with this. If you've got different words on the page, like if you've already written out your paper and you're going through and you're formatting after the fact, make sure you're highlighting. Otherwise, it's going to probably apply that to the entire document, which you do not want. So after the title page, you want to insert a next page break. This is different from a continual page break or just a regular page break. It needs to say next page. So you'll go to Layout, Breaks, and Next Page. So after that, you want your document to go back to being vertically aligned. So you want your text to be able to type at the top of the next page as you begin the actual body of your research paper. So you just return to vertical alignment and top. So on page 2, this is after the title page. You've done the formatting on the title page. You've returned the formatting to essentially normal for page 2. This is where traditionally the abstract appears. So you will want to put that abstract title and center that, not vertically, only just in the center of the page itself. You don't have to put it halfway down the page like we did with the title. You'll type out abstract, and then you begin the actual body of the abstract on the next line, but do not indent it. Just type it from the left, all the way from the left. And then keywords that you've included or you want to use to define your research paper should be included beneath the abstract, and you will indent the keywords. After the keywords, insert a page break. Now, your research paper actually begins on page 3 in APA, again, in the most rigid of circumstances. If you are being assigned an APA paper, perhaps in an English class, an English 101 or 102, they might not require the title page or an abstract. You might start your research paper on page 3. Very similar to MLA, they just would want you to do those citations in APA, or to do your in-text citations in APA. So just keep that in mind. Follow your instructor's syllabus or in-class instruction, and they'll give you guidance on that. So if you're doing the most rigid, or if maybe they've axed the abstract, you will type your entire title in title case again and center that at the top of page 3. And then you will begin your first paragraph on the next line, and you want to indent that for the paragraphs. So that's going to be the entire body of your paper, just written fairly normally like that, as long as every paragraph is indented. And then when you are finished with the research paper itself, you will have a references page. This is the same thing as the works cited page from the MLA paper. It's just referred to as references in APA traditionally. And you start that on a new page using a page break. So once you're done with your research paper, you've typed the last word of your conclusion, you will select Insert, Pages, Page Break. And then references at the top of the page, center the text. You'll begin your reference list on the next line. Identical to MLA for this, citations are listed alphabetically. If there's no author listed, use the title of the article or the title of the item that you're using. And then you will format that using a hanging indent. So that's home, paragraph spacing, line spacing options, special, and hanging. All right, now on to citation generators. So, luckily for HCTC Libraries databases, where we're hoping you will find the bulk of your resources, and if you've been with me through the workshops to this point, we offer a lot of resources within our databases, including magazine articles, newspaper articles, encyclopedia entries, scholarly journals and articles, some videos and audio-visual resources, ebooks. Of course, we have the physical books once our physical locations open up again. But the databases themselves do all offer citation generators. And I don't know if any of you have any experience with the online generators that exist out in the world, like BidMe, where you can input the information and it just kind of spits it back out at you and you copy and paste it. This is similar to that, and I will show you within the databases. I've got some screen captures for that. Just a word of caution about the citation generators, which you might hear complaints about from instructors who don't like them very much. These are algorithmic. So they use coding, computer coding, very similar to how Google uses their spiders to build their index. Essentially, this code captures information from pre-entered metadata, which are fields including data like author name, subject terms, publication date. This is automatically compiled into these pre-existing categories that comprise a citation, which is author name, publication date, article title, publisher, page ranges, URLs, DOIs. So sometimes if that metadata was entered wrong by whoever put the article record in the database, or they might have, the information itself is correct, but it's entered all in caps, So you're pulling a citation where the title is completely in caps, but you do not want that in caps. You want that in sentence case for APA. So you might get points docked if you leave it all in uppercase. So this is generally where you see the most problems, is issues like that. And then the databases also will use the permalink or the URL for your citations. And generally, if there's a URL, if you cannot find a digital object identifier or a DOI, you would want to go to the original journal website or publication website. Like, say it's a New York Times article, you would want to go to the New York Times and get that URL instead of using the permalink to our database. That's going to be the correct citation most often. So always double check these database generated citations. They're made with the best of intentions. They're not perfect. They're fantastic for copying that information into your document, so you don't have to type everything out. It's a time saver more than anything, but like with everything else, you need to always kind of double check. So in our EBSCO databases, which are available on our catalogs and databases page of our library website, if you click into an article, a detailed record is what it's called. It's going to show you the article title, the information about it. You'll see on the right side of your screen a column labeled Tools, and Cite is under that. And if you just click on that, it will give you a list. There are many other citation formats besides APA and MLA. There's Chicago, which is used a lot in legal studies. There's many. You will have to scroll through if you're going down to get an MLA citation. Also be aware that some of these might be older formats. That APA one and EBSCO might still be the 6th edition. So if your instructor is preferring the 7th, make sure you're double checking that citation against the new edition. But you can just go in, and as you can see from the screen capture, you would copy and paste that APA citation into your citation list or your works cited list. Make sure that you are retaining those italics where they exist. Usually that is the publisher name, something like that, and the page or the volume number and issue number, excuse me. So you would just copy, paste, merge formatting, I do believe, when you get into your Microsoft Word document, if you're using Microsoft Word. Again, if you need help with things like that, reach out to us. We're here to help with whatever we can. But it does save a lot of time. There's all that information. As you can see, this article had a DOI, which if it has a DOI, a digital objectifier, you'll always use that DOI. And it can look like DOI colon, then a string of numbers, or it can look like this one where it is HTTPS, and then it goes on to say doi.org. That is also acceptable. We have our second out of 3 databases. These are kind of broad collections of sub-collections, but within Gale, generally this is what it's going to look like when you click into the sub-collections. This one in particular is Academic One file. And then you click into an article, the detailed record. It's going to look something like what we've got here. And at the top of the page, towards the right, pardon me, you'll see the tools similar to EBSCO, and you're going to see, so you're just going to click that. You're going to choose a citation style you prefer. They keep both, just the 3, the MLA 8th edition, APA 6th edition. Again, these are the older editions, but still useful for just grabbing that information, moving it into your Word document, and then going back and fixing it from the existing information. And again, you see that URL for APA would be incorrect because you would want to go to the Journal of Southern History website, their journal home page, and get that URL from there. So keep that in mind as you're getting these citations out of the generators. ProQuest is our 3rd general database with the sub-collections within it. This is more for trade journals and things like that. But again, you do your search, you found an article, you're in the detailed record, or in ProQuest they have that full text, the abstract details, and PDF kind of all in a similar page. But at the top right corner, you're going to see those tools, and it's just going to say Cite. And I mean, they look pretty much the same within databases, which is helpful. So you always kind of know what to look for. You're just going to click that. From that drop-down box, you go in, select the citation style that you prefer, based off of what your instructor has indicated their preferences, and then you'll just paste that. And again, those URLs, make sure you're double checking those. For APA specifically, you don't want to use the database URL. That's what we call a permalink. It's just going to direct them to our databases. You want to direct them to the publisher's website, publisher's URL. So in this case, the citation is the Bath Chronicle. You want to try to do your due diligence and go and find that. Specifically, if you can find the article itself, if it's got an abstract linked, you don't have to link to the title. Some things have paywalls. You can't get to the full article to link it, but you can get to the abstract. So try to make it to the abstract at least and link that. Then Credo Reference, which is our online encyclopedia. You also have a citation feature. You probably won't be citing encyclopedias so much. Generally, they're for background research. They're not necessarily the best for making a secondary source argument. Depending on the assignment, of course, there are exceptions to every rule. But you will just look for that citation when you click into an encyclopedia entry. And that's just going to bring up this pop-out box. If you have pop-up blockers, you might want to turn those off when you're doing this with the databases. Trust the databases if you can go in, because you're not going to be getting ads or anything from our databases. They're paid subscriptions. You're pretty well protected. It's just going to be things like our citation generators popping up or something like that. So choose your style and then go in, copy, paste. Again, axe the URL in most cases. Anything that says libproxy, that's considered a permalink. That's more for your benefit to get back into the article if you need to reference it later. This is going to allow you to log back in through your KCTCS credentials, but it's not necessarily the correct way to cite in a research paper. So the basics of these actual citations, which come at the end of the research paper, this tends to cause the most headache for people because it is usually things like the punctuation, capitalization rules that really get tedious and are really difficult to understand, and they do change maybe more than they should. But basically, what you're going to include in every citation is the creator's name, creation date, item title, item scope, how long is it, the range, page ranges, things like that, and then item origin, like publisher. So this is going to be information that you will want to grab from every source. Specifically, maybe you aren't using something in the databases, you don't have that generator to gather that information for you, so you're doing it yourself. Make sure you're always paying attention to these core basic data fields. So the name of the creator, creation date, item title, item scope, item origin. So in MLA, this is basically what a print book, this first citation, is going to look like. So you're going to have that last name, first name, title of the book, city of publication, publisher, publication date. The print books are probably the most simple, so plus on using a print resource, of course. If it's an anthology, it does change from this. This is a single author print book. Because trust me, it gets pretty complicated as you add more authors, as you get edited, textbooks which have editors and not necessarily authors, depending on the subject. But if it is a single author print book, it looks like this. So this is probably one of the more common citations that you'll be using. So just something to pay attention to, this is all fairly normal information. You of course would want the author's name included, and that's always going to be ordered last name first, then first. Another more common citation that you will be using is, I hope, database articles from our databases. These get more complicated as you add more elements to them. So you've got that author, last name, first name, and then the title of the container, which is where the article might have been published. This could be a newspaper title, a magazine title, an anthology title, something like that. If there's other contributors, if this is a translated edition, if this is edited, you would include that. And then the version, edition, like if it's a second edition, like a textbook, they have multiple editions, you would include that information. The number, typically this is more for serials, things that like magazines, and then number, publisher, publication date, location, where was it published, then the pages, paragraphs, and then you would include that URL or DOI. And then if there's a second container, title, other contributors, those things will be tacked on as well. So you can see it can get pretty complicated depending on how far removed this article is from the original publication. If there's a translated edition, something that was written in Chinese, translated into English, it can get a little complicated there because you have to give credit to each element that was involved. So again, this is where peer review out comes in handy. This is where those print manuals come in handy when we're back physically in our spaces. And this is where if you really are struggling, please don't hesitate to reach out to us because this is complicated. This is not intuitive. We struggle with it, professionals with it. I've been working with citations going on 7 years now. There's a lot to it, and again, with these new editions coming out, they change. So it's not an easy thing to learn or to try to pick up in a single semester, and it is just insane to think that it is an easy thing. So please do not hesitate to reach out to us. So in APA, this is what they look like for those same more common resources that you'll be citing, the print book. You'll see how they differ a little bit from that MLA. Let me go back. So look at that print book citation. So you've got the author and then the names are just the initial, the first initial, middle initial, that your publication. So you go back and you want to spell out that last name, first name, right? And then the publication date, that's tacked on to the end there, that print books. So there are some differences. So you can't just learn MLA, get an assignment for an APA paper and do it the same way because there are differences. Your instructor will knock off points for that if there is no evidence of effort to learn APA citation. So just please be aware that there's some obvious differences in the looks of them. The information itself, however, largely the same. So you've got the author's name, publication year, title of the work, publisher name, and then you'll notice again things like italics. That matters, so make sure that the title is in italics, and then you have those punctuation marks, so things like periods, the colon, capitalization within the title, all that matters, so pay attention. So the next more common one, this is what a database article with a DOI, that's that digital object identifier instead of a URL, has been assigned. So you can find the DOI. This is the way you would cite that database article. So again, you've got your author's name, last name spelled out, the initials, first initial, second initial. If there's multiple authors, you would just separate those with commas, and then include the ampersand, which is what the and symbol is called. And then the year, title of the article, and then you'll see that the title of the periodical is in italics, whereas the article title is not. So that differs from publication type. For periodicals, that's what that's going to look like. Print books, it's different. Then you'll want to include your volume number, issue number. Typically, scholarly journals always have volume and issue numbers. Make sure you find those and include those. The page numbers, which is typically the range of the article. So if you're pulling a journal article out of something that has other articles in it, you're not going to include the entire range of the journal, just that specific article. And if you can find the PDF version of articles, you're going to be able to find those original page numbers if it doesn't have that generated citation. So that's an easier way to find those. Try to look for those PDF versions because those are essentially identically scanned versions of what the journal looks like in print. And then you'll want to include the DOI at the end. Now, if there is no DOI, because not every article has one, it wasn't necessarily a thing for a long time. So if you're getting an old article, it might not have a DOI. You would do a very similar citation with the author name, year, article title, periodical title, but then instead of that DOI, you want to type out retrieved the day you pulled the article from the database, so mark that date, and then you will want to find that journal URL. Again, this is not the permalink to the database. This is not our library website URL or anything like that. You need to go on Google, find the journal name, try to at least find the abstract, even if you have to, even if you can't access the full text of the article online outside of our database subscriptions. If you can find the link to the page with the abstract, include that URL, because that is going to be the correct way. So I do have an activity to go along with this for you to practice a little bit. It's strictly MLA format. That is a little bit more of the entry citation format, in my opinion. It's a little bit easier. You probably use it a little bit more starting out in a lot of your gen eds. So give that a try. This is just for your practice, for your experience. This is not, none of this is really graded, so it's just to learn off of, and hopefully help you further down the road in your classes. So let me get back up here to my screen. All right. So I'm hoping this is the last student workshop that I'll be doing this semester. And if you stuck with me this long, then thank you very much. I really hope you got something out of it. If it helped you in any small way, then I'm happy with that. Hopefully next semester we'll be back on campus. We'll be right back at it, offering in person, reaching out online if that's your preference, if that's what we need to do. But if we're still all online in the fall, I'll hopefully see you in some way or another. I hope you reach out if you need anything from the library. Contact me, Evelyn Hudson, ehudson0018@kctcs.edu. Contact Kathy Branson, Director of Library Services, just kathy.branson@kctcs.edu, or reach out to any of our library staff. We're all trained and willing to help. We're all working remotely from home, so our hours are now from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. You can get a hold of somebody, and we will try our best to help you any way we can for anything. Just reach out to us. Reach out to the college. Reach out to your instructors. Reach out to your advisors. To financial aid if you have questions there. We want you to succeed. This is one of the most difficult circumstances that I've seen, that most people at the college have seen, in which our students are struggling to succeed. So reach out, because we're here to help. We are HCTC strong. It's really cheesy, but we are. And hopefully we'll see you all soon, and stay healthy, stay safe, stay inside until we can go outside again. All right. Thank y'all.